Hey there, podcast listeners. If you happen to be in Montreal in the coming weeks, there's a lot to do and see. Centaur Theatre's Wildside Festival starts on Wednesday, January 7th, and Uncalled For presents Playday Mayday, featuring our very own Matt Goldberg. Also at Wildside, For Body and Light presents Coming and Going, featuring Dirty Feet's Stephanie Morin-Robert and Allison Burns. And on Saturday, January 10th, No More Radio presents Old Time Radio Theatre at 11 p.m. at the Centaur Theatre. But before that, head to MainLine Theatre at 8 p.m. for Confabulation presents All in the Timing, a night of all true storytelling, part of the Bouge DC Dance Festival, which also kicks off on January 7th. We also have a great contest going on until Friday, January 23rd, 2015. We want to know, which song do you think would be the best song to help you survive a zombie apocalypse? Yes, a zombie apocalypse. Listen to Edge of the City episode 137 for more info, and you can win one of 5 copies of Lauren Wilson's The Art of Eating Through the Zombie Apocalypse, a cookbook and culinary survival guide. Do you like our podcasts? You can subscribe on iTunes and also take a minute to rate and review them. And if you're a fan of this podcast, check out the other great podcasts at nomoreradio.com.
You're listening to Dirty Feet, a podcast from No More Radio.
Vous écoutez le podcast Dirty Feet sur les ondes de No More Radio.
Hosted by,
animé par
Allison Burns,
JD Papillon,
et Stéphanie Morin-Robert.
Stay tuned.
We're gonna move you.
Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back to an episode of Dirty Feet. We're going to be talking about Bouge DC, the 2015 edition of the Dance Festival. As we're lapping ourselves here and you know, surviving year after year, this is actually going to be our third episode about Bouge DC, as it's coming around again, and we are happy to celebrate as always because it's awesome, but also because I happen to be involved in the organization of Bouge DC. So all cards on the table there. I'm an artistic producer of Bouge DC. And that means that I primarily organize the Common Space Showcase, and I have some other roles where I help out during the rest of the festival. So what we're going to be doing today is I have a room full of people here. We're going to talk about Bouge DC, all aspects of the festival, and of course the Common Space Showcase, which is the flagship showcase of the festival and kind of where everything began for Bouge DC. So Bouge DC is a not-for-profit organization, and it's primarily concerned with producing this festival every year, every January. This year it's from January 7th to 17th. All the events are going to be hosted at MainLine Theatre, who is producing the festival this year. This is the first time that MainLine is officially producing Bouge DC. In the past, they've always been super helpful and generous, and this time we're just taking it up a notch and like solidifying that relationship, and so far so good. So I'm going to introduce the other people who are in the room with me today. Of course, there's JD Papillon, our lovely Dirty Feet co-host.
Hello everyone, Happy New Year.
And we have Stephanie Juteau, who is one of the choreographers for the Common Space Showcase. She's actually co-choreographing with Danica.
Yes, hi.
Thanks for being here. And then we have Stephanie Morin-Robert. Welcome back.
Hello.
And Holly Greco, who is associate producer of Bouge DC and also one of the mentors for Stephanie this year. Stephanie is in a unique case where you actually have 2 mentors that you're working with this year. And Holly is one of your mentors and Chris Godziak is the other. But anyway, Holly, thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here again.
Woohoo! Yes, you have been representing Bouge DC for the last 2 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, as much as I can, I do it.
Nice. And then Andrew Tay is also here, and he is a mentor for the Common Space Showcase as well this year. You're going to be mentoring, or have been mentoring, Molly Shea Hannon. Thanks for being here. Cool. So let's break this down kind of chronologically, what you can expect from the week, because we do end up talking a lot about Common Space because we're really excited about that aspect of Bouge DC, but there's a lot of other stuff that's going to be happening during the week. And maybe, Steph, it would be appropriate if you talked about what we're doing for our opening night, because we're actually in conflict this year with the Wildside Festival. They have the exact same dates, January 7th to 17th. And so Bouge DC has decided to host a 5 à 7 at MainLine on the 7th, and then take a field trip.
Yeah, which is exciting, and I'm really happy that's happening, because as you mentioned, the dates kind of colliding was a bit of a bummer for myself, because I knew that Bouge DC is always a really exciting time to kind of hang out and see everybody and watch, emerging choreographers. And it's been a big part of my work as well, personally, in the cabarets and in all of that, of just like having opportunities to present work, even if it's not polished and kind of work in progress. But for the 7th, Allison is also a part of this, who's juggling a few things at the moment. But we'll be presenting Coming and Going, a new version of it that we've done, that we've toured with all summer with For Body and Light. So that's happening at Wildside, and our premiere is a part of the field trip for Bouge DC. So after the 5 à 7, I guess people will be marching down to Old Montreal and or busing, I don't know, or skating, because it's ridiculous outside. But it's really great that I'm happy that that's happening, and hopefully see some of the Bouge team out there.
Cool. Other events that are happening in that first weekend there are kind of our satellite events, or the events that we've swallowed up into our festival, that have been with us for years now. I'm wondering if Holly, if you could speak a little bit about some of those events.
Sure. I believe on the Friday, the first one we have going on is a slow dance that we do. You grab a partner and just break it down slow jam style. Because why not? We're just trying to get as many people we can to get moving in January and get moving with Bouge. And the slow dance event is always a really great way to do it. Sherwin is so wonderful, and we've been doing it a couple years with him. He does it monthly at MainLine, so you can do it any old time. But why not do it with us in January for Bouge? Saturday night, we have Confabulation, which is about timing, I believe, this year, which is super cool. So that's a all true storytelling event, no props, no scripts. So it's just people going up and telling their stories. And we love doing it with Bouge DC, because it's always good to verbalize these narratives as well. And people talk about movement or something in that realm, which is great. And Matt Goldberg is a wonderful host, so you should definitely check that out. Sunday, we have Ciné Danse, which is one of my personal favorites, because I get to work on it. So maybe I'm a little biased, but Ciné Danse is when we do a call for artists, and we invite filmmakers, choreographers alike, to send in their short films about dance, movement, the body, and its relationship to space. We kind of leave it open and let the submissions pour in. And we had a wonderful, large amount of submissions this year, which is super exciting. And we narrowed it down to a really strong, interesting, variated amount of films this year. So that's going to be a super cool event. It's happening in the main space for the first time this year at MainLine Theatre. So come one, come all, we got room for you. It's super fun.
I remember a few years ago when we were thinking about changing spaces and maybe, should we present this showcase that it was selling out at the time? Should we present this in a space that's more suited for dance, or a little bit bigger, or something like that? And we decided on no, because of the type of clients that MainLine already has, the type of patrons that already attend MainLine events, and the unpretentiousness of the atmosphere at that space, and the fact that it isn't a standard dance space, and that it hasn't been used, it's been used primarily for theater. And then also the inclusion of these events that you're talking about, Holly, in the festival programming, with again, hoping to bring in a new crowd, different people, kind of mix it up a little bit. Now, you've all had some sort of relationship with the festival in the past. I'm wondering if you've noticed any of that impacting the type of people or the scope that Bouge DC reaches?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. There was one of the comedians from 19-2 in the lobby. Do you remember that? And I was kind of like, wow, that's weird. I don't know, but there's all these different people, especially with confabulation, it kind of reaching out already to a different crowd other than the theater crowd, kind of bringing, average, normal, everyday people who are sharing their stories. And then you've got the dance crowd, and then you've also have the theater crowd. And it's kind of, it's really beautiful to see all of these different groups of people collide. But I feel like the performing arts scene, that's kind of something that's happening more and more with kind of, dance becoming more than just movement, and the integration of performance within that. So I think that's a great decision on behalf of Bouge DC to keep it at MainLine and to let that collision happen, because it's exciting.
Well, I think that a lot of people who do attend Bouge DC year after year are not necessarily people who would attend a dance show. A lot of the people I've talked to after performing there a few times, they were extremely surprised by the festival, by what they saw, because they would never have the reflex, if it was somewhere else, to go see a dance performance. I think that one of the big things that the festival has been doing year after year is to reach out to people who would not know how to approach dance, and educating them through that variety of the performances that are in common space, through the multitude of events surrounding the festival. So I think that this is sort of the part of the common link that MainLine has been creating, of bringing in those audiences that would not know what to do with a dance piece if they saw one advertised or even saw one right in their face. But through this multi-element aspect of the festival, they're gonna feel more welcome, even though they have no idea what's happening on stage.
Or in the Ciné Dance a few years ago, there was somebody who didn't consider himself a choreographer, but he was showing his music video that he did, and it was clearly movement based, and he was like, yeah, I directed them. And then there was this discussion of like, wait, does this mean I'm a choreographer? So it was just really interesting for them to kind of realize that while people are asking questions and while he's showing his work, and it's, I guess it's all about the intention, right? You watch something and you see it, wanting it to be dance, it's going to be dance. But if you're watching it and it's something else, it could be something else. So I think that intention of what people are, the intention that they have kind of changes that, which is really magical.
All right, let's get into Common Space, L'Espace Commun. So this is going to be happening in the second weekend of the festival. It starts on the Wednesday night and runs until Saturday afternoon. So it's 14th, 15th, and 16th at 8 p.m. and the 17th at 4. And in this showcase, there are 7 different choreographers or teams of choreographers, as we're going to be getting into, presenting works 10 minutes or less. And these choreographers applied with their project that was previously presented in some capacity, whether it be for a school presentation or some other stage showing of their work. And then what we've done is paired them off with a mentor that we think would suit their interests and who is interested in that project, and then let them work together to rework the piece and just make it something newer, better, stronger, and present it for the showcase. So we're going to be talking to Stephanie about this, Stephanie Juteau, and about, let's start with the beginning with what interested you and Danica about reworking a piece?
Danica and I just, we went to school together, and we actually decided to do dance for kids. So presenting shows to kids from 0 to 12 years old. Sorry for my English. And we've decided to try at Bouge DC because we feel adults are still in the audiences, even if we're addressing our shows to kids. So we thought about a piece Danica did a few years ago at Concordia, which was about a movie she liked. Is
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, thank you. And we've decided just to take the part we really like about that movie was what was the craziness about everybody. So we worked that, and then we felt so far away from that right now for the piece. But it was just a fun way to start from an inspiration and then to change it and see with our with both heads like how it could work, because it was initially Danica's piece. I wasn't in it, and we just tried to see what we could do together, and I think it's going to be a great result.
Now, full disclosure, I was in the same program as you, in the same cohort as you, Steph. And that piece, from what I remember, was not very kid-friendly. When Danica presented it, there was actually a strongly mature element to it. How did you alter it? How did you change it so that it would become more of a young public piece?
I think we just let our instincts be, taking a step forward, because we're both a little bit crazy in our life, so we kind of let it go and see how our dancers were able to make it live. So we just took that piece, and what we liked about it, I think we watched it like a lot of times and just like writing down the things we liked the dancers did the first time, and that was crazy and unexpected. So we I think it's like that we tried to bring it to kids, and we feel we haven't, like, it's our first experience, so we just feel kids, we don't have to create like thinking about kids. It's going to come by itself, and they are able to appreciate many kinds of dance. They just need to be open and to have the opportunity. So we're kind of just let it go, and we'll see like which kind of age could happen to love it, because with our both choreographer qualities, we're kind of going towards kids anyways.
I think too, something I noticed throughout the process, I wasn't in it a lot, but just watching the original and meeting with you guys and the rehearsals I've been a part of, is you brought out the silly. You're not afraid to be silly. It's that, well-known thing of if you feel stupid, you're doing it right, like just go to the nth degree and go as far as you can on being completely out there and completely ridiculous, and then from there you can draw it back in if you so choose. And I think that's the fun thing for kids too, is seeing adults go to that ridiculous place. Yes. So for me, that's what I think really you guys have brought through in the choreography, and it works really well.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, and I feel that's what we like too. It's to show kids that even if you're growing up, you don't need to be like serious. You can still be whatever you want and be as crazy as you want, and just letting it go. And that's about art too. So that we're kind of loving this energy and this. We like to work like that, and we feel dance is whatever you want to make it. So, like, thinking this way, kids can actually understand what's contemporary dance.
In Montreal, there is not that much of a presence of dance for young audiences. Where do you get your inspiration from when you create a piece for dance, for young audiences in dance? Do you go see shows and try to see how they could appeal to younger audiences, or are your inspirations coming from other media maybe?
It's coming from everywhere, because yes, there's not so much of a dance for kids in Montreal. There's Hélène Langevin and Pierre Poissavois that's just starting, but it's coming. Like, everybody wants it. There's the Le Colloque de la Danse pour les jeunes publics that happened in September for the first time. Then we went to that colloque, and we just had some discussion with every programmer and everybody that was in the cultural world about having dance for kids and everything. But we're going a lot in shows that are family shows, and theater and theater. I saw music. I really enjoy actually going in shows for kids, and I kind of sometimes really appreciate more kids shows than adult shows, and because I'm laughing my ass off. And I think it's like that, but we're both working with kids. Danica is a teacher, actually, and she's all around Montreal and Longueuil, and she's a little bit everywhere, and she has cool kids that she can, like, work with them, and she's like playing with the creativity in her classes, so she knows already, like, how to deal with them and what they like and what she likes and how we can bring in the choreography. And I'm mostly working with kindergarten kids from 0 to 5, so we're kind of having a good range with both of us. And I think our inspiration are mostly in our daily life, because we're totally crazy with, like, animation movies, and we're always, like, trying to have fun everywhere we see. And I kind of have a big imagination. Like, when it's snowing outside, I feel I'm in a cookie dough. Because in Montreal mostly, there's big brown snow. Like, I feel it's like chocolate chips, and like there's somebody like putting the wheat on us, and I think we're just crazy. And when I tell her my idea, she's kind of going in it, and then we're getting crazy, and then something's getting out of that eventually, or like it's serving for another thing after that.
I'm curious what it's been like to be two choreographers with two mentors. As we said earlier, Holly is one of your mentors. You're also working with Chris Godziak, who has a Panadream, which is like a marionette theater for children company. So for either of you, if you want to respond to what it's like with that many cooks in the kitchen.
I'm going to go first. It was so awesome. But that's just, I mean, I love Chris so much. I worked with Chris a little bit when we were both at Concordia in the dance department, and he's just so excited and imaginative. And I feel like when the four of us met for the first time, we were like little Energizer bunnies, just like feeding off of each other and laughing really loud and getting really excited and being silly and focused. And
in that little cafe, we were so loud.
Yeah, we definitely disrupted the piece the first time we met. Which is it's a fabulous thing to really meet and connect with people for the first time, or for the 20th time, you know, and just still have that rapport and have that instant connection. I've done mentoring for a few years now with Bouge DC, and I mean, it's different every time, completely different every time. But I've never got to share choreographers before with another mentor, so that was really fun. But it was a learning experience too, because you kind of have to know when to hold back and let them figure it out, or, you know, you're kind of doing this dance between the choreographers and between the other mentor, because you don't want to overload them with information, especially when there's already two of them, right? There's already two choreographers who have two high-functioning brains that are constantly going already. So it's this interesting dance between how much do I give them, when do I hold back. I do wish Chris and I could have been in the rehearsal room at the same time, just to see how that could have gone down. Unfortunately for scheduling, we couldn't make it happen. But so I had to just kind of guess where Chris was going to fill in the blanks and how I could be helpful in my own way, because that's how we're paired, right? Me and Chris aren't exactly the same. We have different things that we're stronger at, and I work a little bit more in comedy, and Chris works with children, and I work with children, and he does some comedy too. But I think we both have our strengths that put together. I think we were a good match for you guys.
I totally agree. You were marvelous. Like we couldn't thought of anybody else. I think because we were just so happy, and having two mentors was just so much a big treat for us. And I just feel that you both gave us everything you had, and it's really fun to see that you are so much into our process, because that's what we were telling our dancers, because we are already two people like working on the piece. So when we're bringing more brains in that, like how can you take decision? And then we had two more brains with our mentors, but it was just fun to see that there was outside people loving the work and just trusting in it, and supporting us with all the loves of the creativity you give to your dancers and your creative process and everything. So I just felt too it's amazing, and it's even not enough. We could have like 50% loving our work, and could be like just amazing, because we could like collect all this love and feel secure about what we do. So I just felt they were really good, and always smiling and always happy and laughing out loud, and that's what we need, because we're two extraverti, I don't know, and extroverted, and like we had two mentors extroverted, so it was just fun, because our dancers were feeling like everybody's laughing and having fun, so they were confident about what they were doing, even if they were silly, because that's what we like.
Well, if we can switch gears from a piece with 3 dancers, 2 choreographers, and 2 mentors to self-solo with Andrew and Molly in your working relationship there. Molly is presenting a self-solo that she's been working on, again, reworking, because it is common space after all, and you've been helping her out. You two seem to have a similar style or a similar interest when it comes to this piece in particular. I'm referring to kind of having humor in the work, and also using text. Is that a fair analysis?
Sure. I mean, I think we both use these things. Yeah. I think a lot of people use these things. Yeah.
And can we talk a bit about what it is that you're working with Molly on?
Sure. I mean, like, I think when I'm working with someone kind of as I don't know if I like this word mentor, because I feel like it sets up a hierarchical structure of like someone has more information than another person. And I kind of, when I go into working with someone, first of all, I acknowledge that I don't know everything, and I'm going to learn something from the process. And also that, I mean, in this situation, I think, I've worked a lot with her, having conversations about what she's interested in, what her questions are really important to me to know about, like what she is trying to investigate, what she's trying to get at with her work, and then from that, trying to figure out how she can use these questions to make decisions in her work, to allow like the content to influence the way that she's making decisions in the actual work itself. And I mean, it's been an interesting process, because for us, we've had pretty crazy schedules. So I'm actually going to see her work today for the first time in studio. We've had like coffee meetings, and I was in a residency in Sweden, so I looked at her rehearsals on video, and then we had a big like Skype conversation about it. So right now we've been kind of in this like conversation, like philosophical kind of dialogue, but I'm seeing her work twice this week, and yeah.
Well, I think it highlights a big aspect of the festival, that yes, it is a presentation, yes, it is a showing, basically a public showing, but it's also a constant work in progress aspect. I think that actually the festival was very much based on this idea, with Amy having just shown the work for at school that she had done, and feeling that, you know, there was still so much further you could take it. And what you're saying with Molly, the fact that as a peer mentor, or however you would prefer to call it. You didn't have to be there always telling her what, but it was very much about this exchange and this pushing further the ideas and pushing further the research that's going into it. And I feel that with the festival, this is very much what's happening, because it can be sort of seen as a launching pad for choreographers, but also it's a big laboratory. It's this big experience that allows people to try again something new with this reinforcements of the mentor or the peers that are being brought in. But it's also a way for those ideas to just evolve into further directions so that they can be there's this cyclical, continuous thing going on with the creations at Bouge DC, I feel.
What it is attracts the people that are interested in that, and it just kind of snowballs, right? Like the call for submissions is for people who are interested in doing that. The kind of how we put together the cabaret is we ask for works in progress from our mentors or from other people who've participated in Bouge DC in the past, and it's the people who are interested in that are building this community.
It's one thing also that I'm working with Molly a lot of is to not think of the showcase as like a new finished product. One of the things that we've been talking about a lot too is expectations of what dance is and what performance is. And one of the things that I've been doing is looking at her work and telling her things that I'm seeing in her work and asking her if that's something she's working on and if she's okay with it, so she can decide whether she wants to keep it or whether she wants to move past it. Because I think there's so many things that we do because we think it's what good work is, or sometimes we're doing it and we don't even notice it. We do things like we add dynamics, we develop movement, we do all of these things where it's just ingrained in us from training or from seeing a whole bunch of other shows, and that might not be what you're working on at that time. So a lot we've been talking about what are you interested in and what do you really want to do, and to try to think of this performance not as some final product,
but not having the bullshit either, right? Getting down to brass tacks of what are you trying to get to. And
for sure.
move from there.
And the performance is important because it is things change when it's in front of a public. That's super important and super motivating as well. So to not also just be this means nothing. We're just doing whatever, but just to keep it in context and
But there's something in the format of Bouge DC because because it's common space. It's a showcase of many different works with a lot of variety going on. I feel that it's important for the choreographers to not see this as a finality, as the end of a road, but just a very important pit stop, because the audience will be bombarded with very different ideas in relatively short time spans. The pieces are around 10 minutes for Bouge DC usually?
Yeah, 10 minutes or shorter.
Which, is short, and it's a lot of different vibes and a lot of different energies being thrown at the audiences. And as we mentioned earlier, those audience members might come from very different, varied backgrounds. Whereas in dance, quite often, it's, the people who go see a show sort of know what to expect. There is a sort of homogeneity in the audience. Whereas with Bouge, this is not the case with Bouge. An audience member will have something completely different to say than a different audience member. And I feel that this idea of, we're presenting the piece and we're welcoming feedback, and it allows for just this plethora of different opinions that are coming in, and to push the work further. As you said, it's about choices when it comes down to it. And Bouge DC is very much about this.
I feel it's the beauty of it. As a choreographer with Danica, we ask ourselves, if we wanted to stop there, and we've decided to present it French also, so we can have comments in Bouge DC and feel what adults feels like when they're watching our piece, and if they would bring their kids to watch our piece in a full length presentation. So I just feel it's the beauty to have theater people as much as we have dance and anybody else from any other fields as a spectator. I just hope they're having the guts to come to choreographer and dancers and tell what they think and what they like and what they dislike, so everybody can get better at this after.
And I think that's a major thing of kind of all of us being peers and kind of friends, and we party together, we go to school together, or we go see shows together. And then when we see each other's work, it's just always this like, yeah, it was good. And I feel like we're not honest with each other. You know, like, actually, no, like, I know that it may have not been good, and I'd love to talk about it. And I feel like to break that boundary and to actually get just super honest with each other's work is a really great thing. And I think that's definitely a vibe that's established in Bouge DC, because there's such a variety, so that you could really pick something that you like or don't like and talk about it because of the wide range. I mean, you have people who are possibly presenting outside of a school context for the first time, or you have people who've been presenting for years. And, you know, that's where it's a really interesting scale of like, what is an emerging choreographer, right? Or what is, because you're kind
question.
of like always.
I'm still an emerging choreographer.
It's like you're always an emerging choreographer, but what's the in between? Like the in between of like not being an emerging choreographer and being an emerging choreographer, and when you're applying for projects and all of that. So it's like it's where that question is kind of gone. I find with Bouge DC, it's just like it's a platform, and everyone could use more experience, and everybody could, you know, gain so much from this exchange, whether you're being whether you're mentoring or as the choreographer. So it's really beautiful to see that grow, especially over the last few years. You know, I think it's taking a really great direction.
What's really cool too is now it's become this well, I'm going to make it sound more fancy than it is, cross-Canada known festival. Because we do have people from across the country who are applying for this festival, and we don't know them, which is the craziest part. It's not like our friends who moved to another province and they're coming back to, I mean, that's fabulous too. We love those people as well, but it's we have an artist this year, Thone Glover, who is from Vancouver, I believe, but definitely from BC. And she's coming. She has a Montreal dancer that she just got here last week. She started rehearsals 3 days ago and is building this piece in the next 2 weeks with this dancer. And it's an incredible feat. I mean, the original work was outstanding, and we're so excited to have her here. But she was told by a festival director in BC about Bouge DC. So yes, that there's a certain amount of emerging artists, this discussion around who are emerging artists and what makes you an emerging artist. And I mean, we could go on, you could do a whole episode just on that. But for somebody like Thone, it's an emerging artist in this city. Mm-hmm. It's her, I believe it's her first opportunity to show work to a full audience, you know, with little risk. I mean, she has to pay her airfare, bless her, but other than that, like, we're giving her the works with PR and tech, and as we do all our artists. And I mean, what a great opportunity to come and just, you know, keep your head down, work hard, get it done, and then present for the first time. I mean, it must be an insane rush for somebody like her, but as I say, it's our second time having somebody from outside of the province, and we just, I mean, personally, I want to keep them coming as much as we can. It's so great to have representatives from across the country to show Montreal what is out there and what the Canadian choreographers are capable of, because it's really incredible work. Yeah.
Nice.
Nailed it.
I was thinking earlier, I'm really looking forward to getting an application for Common Space with the previous history of presentation being Common Space the year before. I think that would be. But in all seriousness, when we were talking about that, I was thinking of Heather Lynn McDonald, who after recreating her work for Common Space one year, took it to Fringe and lengthened it and made it I think it was half an hour or 40 minutes in the end. Mm-hmm. And that was really exciting to be along for that ride. Way back when Katia Marie Germain had a piece in Common Space, and then she ended up extending that and presenting it elsewhere as well. So this does happen, and it is exciting to see that happen.
And we've had that with Danse Buissonnière as well. Like, we've had artists come from Danse Buissonnière and come to Bouge DC too, right? So we've had this like unintentioned partnership, I guess, with them, because it's just giving it these artists another platform, another opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunities being, I think that's the important thing when you realize that any opportunity is a good opportunity, right? And it's like whether you're coming from, I don't know. I mean, we have Laura who has a crazy amount of experience and is coming, you know, to be around Bouge, and that's really great. Or even the mentors who you know, have their own stuff going on, but the interest of being involved in helping the project grow, and that community, you know, it is really a community, and that's what feels safe and exciting about it.
For sure. And now I'm thinking of Dylan Crossman, who was a performer or a choreographer and performer from last year's Common Space, who danced for Cunningham, the Cunningham Company. And we have people coming from different levels, you know, again, challenging that emerging word, but then it's a tool and it's set up for people to use in whatever way they want to. So it does make sense that if somebody, after presenting at Buissonnier, which is also an amazing like springboard opportunity for young choreographers or emerging choreographers, you don't have to do it in a specific order. You don't have to do Bouge DC at any specific point. It's when you're ready for it, when you want that. Go ahead and apply for Common Space.
It makes me ask myself a really interesting question, whether we have enough opportunities here in Montreal, right? To see kind of us going around in circles with the same presenters or the same places. And you know, whether we need more of these platforms. Or, you know, like 2 Common Spaces a year. Anyway, just saying, the opportunities, you know, do we have enough of them, or are people hungry for more?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That's really where Bouge DC comes from, is that taking a look around and deciding we need more of this.
Allison's giving a workshop that she's really excited about.
Well, that's, yes, and also terrified. But I was thinking about the teaching and the mentorship doesn't just apply to Common Space. And we've had technical mentors in the past, you know, people who know a little bit more about lights and design and tech come in and help teach people who want to learn about that stuff. We've had also in the past, and again this year, a teaching experience in terms of a workshop leader. So this will be the first time I'm teaching a workshop. It's called How to Contemporary Dance, and it's intended for people who've never taken a dance class or never taken a contemporary dance class. Karen Fennell taught a version of this a couple years ago as part of the festival, and we wanted to bring it back. And I'm gonna have some coaching on how to teach a workshop, which is really exciting.
We also have a costume consultant that I saw on the website, and I think that's really cool too, because I feel like that's like a last layer that we're kind of like, oh no, we need costumes. What are we wearing? You know, and to actually have that intentionally to have feedback and stuff like that on costumes.
Yeah, this is actually our third year.
It's exciting, to have that still.
It's our third year of having a costume consultant, and yeah, because I mean, there was kind of a cry for help, I think, from our choreographers, or you know, also our audiences were going. I had a very good friend who is a choreographer but mostly works in theater, and she walked up to me one day and said, "What the hell is with contemporary dance and their costumes?" Period. I was like, because I mean, to her, working in theater, it's such a thought out, drawn out, designed medium. And I'm not saying all choreographers, obviously not all choreographers are like this, but there was definitely a pattern of pedestrian clothes on stage, and what are you making that choice, etc., etc. So we decided to bring in a costume consultant, and I think it makes a really great difference just to get an idea. You know, somebody say, I see this color, or I see this tailoring, or have somebody to talk to about it, I think is a really special opportunity.
It was really helpful because with Danica, we tried to bring the costume at the beginning, but like you have so much ideas that you have to for faire l'entonnoir, you have to like lay down the opportunity, I think, with the costumes. And she just told us, like, you could have, like, just colors would be nice. And we just with that idea, like we fly, and like we just thought, yeah, color, I like that. So we'll just bring color, and then we just had this idea of having a flower belt, and then having like a crazy red hat, because it's coming from Juliette and Chocolat, but I may not be allowed to put it on my dancer. But I did, and we have this telephone, like these old les fils de téléphone,
The
like
telephone wire.
yeah, the telephone wire. We're putting that on our dancer. It's really fun, and she looked crazy, but she looked so cute at the same time. So it just started from the colors, and then we're just getting crazy about the costume, and then it's looking amazing. And maybe without that push at the beginning, we couldn't have like pushed back the costume and just thought about it like a few weeks ago, and then wouldn't look like that.
It was Helena McGee who came in for our feedback session about midway through the process to take a look at the works and give a few bits of inspiration on costuming.
Yes.
There are a few other workshops also happening during the festival weeks. Did you want to talk about them?
Sure. Yeah, we have Holly Gauthier-Frankel, who did a workshop with us, I believe, 2 years ago, and she's doing a Sweet Moves workshop, which is based on her series of classes that she's done in the past, coming from her background in burlesque, but also her classical training. She kind of fuses these two together, so it's not necessarily just come and learn the art of burlesque, but how can we fuse this with very basic dance moves as well. It's really about getting into your body and feeling sensual and feeling sexy. And for men and women alike, you can wear heels, you can wear bare feet. It's just kind of come in, get into your body, get to know your body, and let's move it. So that'll be fabulous. I will definitely be there because Holly's a wonderful teacher. And then we have our famous tap workshop is coming back. Unfortunately, Heather Keeler is no longer with us, who has been doing it for the last, 3-4 years at least. But we have a new fabulous teacher. Her name is Jessica Alley, and she's a wonderful, wonderful woman, great energy, wonderful energy, and she's a trained dancer, trained tapper. So I think she's going to be a lot of fun too. I mean, she's got big shoes to fill, but she's like small but mighty, man. She's like a little powerhouse. So I think that workshop's going to be really fun. So if you've taken the tap workshop before, fear not, Jessica's going to do a kick-ass job.
And yeah, you can be a total novice, which is
completely.
what's so much fun about that workshop.
You don't necessarily need tap shoes.
Yes.
But if
very
you
good.
do have
Yes.
some, bring
Go for it. Yeah, running shoes is fine. And if you've never tapped a day in your life but love singing in the rain, come on out.
Okay, there's two last events to talk about. There's So You Think That Was Dance by Karen Fennell, which she puts this together. This premiered last year at Bouge DC, and since then she's had several representations of it. Did you? Can I ask you to kind of describe the energy at the shows?
Sure. I mean, it's an uncurated event, which I think is really nice because it's really democratic in some way, that it's first come, first serve. So there's no formal application process, which I really like, especially if you're going to be presenting ideas, in this case, which are supposed to be really work in progress or like really unfinished ideas. And yeah, they're presented back to back. And yeah, it's really casual and fun. And
cool. And it's going to be a late night show this year, so it's on the Friday night, the 16th at 10. So you can like get a double bill in there if you're interested. You can go see Common Space before and then check out So You Think That Was Dance and just be full of contemporary dance by the end of the night. You also have another opportunity to do double bill if you wanted to come on the Saturday. There's the 4 p.m. showing of Common Space, followed by Cabaret Bouge DC, which is always a ton of fun. It's like our last hurrah for the festival week. And it's a fairly informal showing of works. As I was saying before, we invite mentors or past participants to show work. And it tends to be varied as well in style, and it tends to be fun. And it's followed by a dance party because that's what we do. Yeah. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for the 2015 Bouge DC edition of Dirty Feet. Thank you all so much for being here.
But Short and Sweet's coming up soon, eh?
Yeah, we're doing an edition on the 24th of January, and it's a really cool edition. It's we're doing an edition. It's called Rejected, and the idea is that just because as artists we're dealing with rejection so much, whether it's through grants that we apply to, through applications, through auditions. So our idea is how can we use rejection as material, and we're also asking people to do 3-minute versions of pieces that they got rejected for by the Canada Council, but within 3 minutes, or read their rejection letter on stage, whatever they want to do.
That's super cool.
That's gonna be depressing.
I think it's gonna be
funny.
fun. I think it's gonna be kind of like a bitch fest / can make some interesting choices, and
last year's
healing too, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Comforting, we're all in this together.
Right.
But that just reminded me, I'm going on off tangent now, but last year's cabaret organized by the Cabaret Tolé by Studio 303, which was very much about a big rejection, which was, it did have that very communal aspect to it of just, well, we hate Stephen Harper, for one thing, and, the conservative government, but also, we need to support each other for this to make sense and work. So it was great for that. When someone throws something in there.
So if you go to the Body and Light show at the Centaur on our opening after our Sanka set, stick around for Uncalled For show, Playday Mayday. If you don't know Uncalled For, they're an amazing sketch comedy troupe out of Montreal, but they're now out of Toronto and Montreal, and they're really talented guys. And they asked me and Stephanie McKenna to choreograph one of their sketches. So get to fuse some wily comedy and some funny dance moves, and it's going to be really fun. And I feel like it's applicable, right? Sure. It's going to be a good time, and there's a little bit of dance in there, so why not? Go check it out.
Dirty Feet was previously recorded at the Montreal Improv Theatre and is currently recorded out of MainLine Theatre. Thanks, dudes.
Dirty Feet est produit et animé par,
produced and hosted by Allison Burns,
JD Papillon,
et Stéphanie Moret-Robert.
You can find out more about our show at nomoreradio.com, follow us on Twitter at Dirty Feet, and find us on Facebook at Dirty Feet Podcast.
Vous pouvez écouter tous nos épisodes sur notre site web ou vous pouvez vous abonner également sur iTunes à notre podcast.
Listen to past episodes on website or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes.
While you're there, be sure to give us a rating and or leave a comment to help us spread the word.
Tune in next week for a whole new show.